Begin audio prompt in 3, 2, 1.
Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think I need to explain what that is. I have a lot of respect for Scott Cawthon. Not that I particularly love everything he does, but both him and Toby Fox are like the exemplars for indie game developers, starting from basically nothing and growing a massive fan base. Of course, Toby Fox is better at telling a story, but you know. FNAF has grown from being a small indie game made up of PNGs to one of the biggest media franchises ever. The developers of the more recent games, Steel Wool Studios, have had a complicated history with the series. From the simple but effective minigame collections of the Help Wanted games to literally making the worst game in the entire franchise. I'm not kidding when I say that Security Breach is one of the most poorly designed games I've ever played. The free DLC, Ruin, while being more structurally sound, was still lacking in terms of gameplay, so you can see why I wasn't exactly excited to play Secret of the Mimic. So, after playing it, it's fine. It's definitely the best non-VR game they've made, which as I'll discuss later is pretty ironic, but it still has issues that hold it back. So let's get right into Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. You play as a technician who's tasked with retrieving vital information for Fazbear Entertainment from Murray's Costume Manor. This manor was owned by a man named Edwin. He made the Mimic, an animatronic endoskeleton designed to work with any mascot costume. Now you have to get the information and get out alive while the Mimic hunts you throughout the mansion. I'll start with what I like about the game. The story's actually pretty good. Considering Security Breach's horrible excuse for a story, I wasn't really expecting much here, but I ended up not only enjoying it, but also I could understand it without having to read one of the FNAF novels or being a theorist. I get that part of FNAF's appeal is its complicated story, but I've always been more drawn towards the games with the more cut and dry storytelling. That being said, I did accidentally get the secret ending, so maybe the main ending is more vague than what I experienced. One of the few things Security Breach got right was its impressive art and animations, and that quality is carried over to this game, and it actually looks better here. While Security Breach's visuals were appealing to look at, they weren't even remotely trying to be scary. Now, the designs for this game aren't particularly scary looking either, but at least they're trying this time. Okay, on to what I don't like. Remember how I said it's ironic that this is their best non-VR game? Well, it's obvious that this game was supposed to be played in VR. To interact with most things in this game, you have to first hold down the left click and then move the mouse to move your hand. For example, to flip a lever facing up, you need to approach the lever, hold down left click to grab the lever, then move the mouse down to activate the lever. This control scheme is pretty annoying to work with. It makes tasks like opening doors, which used to be done by just pressing a single button, way more complicated than it needs to be, and it's an unfortunate leftover of the game's VR bones. Steel Wool also can't seem to make the AI in their games work. This game uses the usual Outlast/Alien Isolation style of gameplay, distracting enemies, hiding in lockers, you know, that type of stuff. Sometimes the AI for the animatronics would open the locker I was hiding in if they saw me, but most of the time I could hide right in front of them and they would forget I even existed. An issue I've seen some discuss online is how this game doesn't really feel like a FNAF game. It seems like as FNAF is evolving, it's also becoming less original. Five Nights at Freddy's wasn't the first mascot horror game, but the originals were the ones that inspired other developers to make their own similar games. Now, FNAF seems to have gone from inspiring other developers to take after it to trying to copy what everyone else is doing. Using cliché chase sequences and basic puzzles that other popular, more recent games in the genre have, rather than having its own identity. Which is weird because while this game doesn't feel like FNAF, another recent game in the series does. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. Now, Into the Pit shares a lot in common with Secret of the Mimic, having chase sequences and simple puzzles, but unlike Secret of the Mimic, I feel it has a style that more closely fits with Five Nights at Freddy's. From the artwork to the animations to the atmosphere, everything just seemed to fit more in the FNAF universe. In summary, Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic is not a bad game, but it has too many issues for me to call it a good one either. I've seen some online claim that Secret of the Mimic is one of, if not the best FNAF game. Like the beginning of the video said, if you think that, then that's completely fine. For me, FNAF 1 is still the best game in the series, followed by Pizzeria Simulator. I'm glad to see Steel Wool improving themselves with every release, but I still feel like they have a long way to go. That's all I got for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that bell icon to be notified for whenever I make a new video. The next review should be 28 years later, so if you're interested in that or interested in supporting the channel more, then turn notifications and check out my other videos. Okay. That's it. Bye.